if you have all these prayers and you're doing them and you're not doing them, and all you do is feel guilty about the fact you're not completing this big project that you've set out for yourself, then is that really helping?
Yeah, do what you will do, not what you wish you could do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which you won't. Yeah.
And go from there, right? Because what we can do when we have to do something, either we don't do it and we feel just bad about it, or we kind of rush through it to say we've done it and get the check mark, get the gold star, saying, okay, I've done it. I've been, I have completed my task. But then if we really pray deeply, right? And in some ways, I mean, it is always better to pray than not to pray. So it is better to rush through it
than to skip it.
But also we can, at least sometimes, I mean, many of these things are case by case. I mean, how are we rushing through it? Are we paying attention at all? Are we not paying attention? But it's better to pray with the mind than not pray, right? But there's so much real power with just praying short prayers, brief prayers with greater frequency.
Yeah, part of my prayer these days, I have alarms set on my phone to remind me of the hours and things, and part of that prayer is, and I'm sorry, God, that this is the best I can do right now, and help me do better tomorrow. But I've just started including that that I'm here, I'm giving you this. I'm sorry, it's 2 mites.
Well, I would say
tomorrow maybe it's 3,
or 2.5, right? And if it's 1, then you to the next day, right? And you build it up. So I always like to say the one enemy we have is despair. Despair is just feeling guilty about what we haven't done. That just doesn't help when it comes to prayer. It just doesn't. We always have to realize, like, today is the day of salvation.
For me, this always goes to the Paschal homily from St. John Chrysostomos, which I hear differently now than I heard 10, 15 years ago. But, you get to that part of, and if you tarried until the 11th hour, do not be ashamed to come. For me, that's my prayer life at this point. It's got very little to do with the fast and the feast at this point. That's, the 3rd hour and the 6th hour and the 9th hour. So I've waited until the alarm goes off to come, instead of already knowing in my heart, it's time to pray. I have to wait for the beep. Like Pavlov's dog, like, oh, there's the beep, I got to pray, instead of being drawn to prayer, and so, like, I hear that so differently these days that, it's about every aspect of our life. He reminds us in so many places, and I think he has other passages like, don't be ashamed to confess your sins, be ashamed that you didn't come and confess, that the worst thing we can do is not start.
Yeah, today is the day of salvation. I mean, we really have to look at every day as a gift, right? When we think about this,